One factory, 1 million chickens, over 500,000 eggs every single day, and roughly 120 tons of feed. Imagine that. Automated systems handle feeding, sorting, and packaging to keep this process running non-stop. Every day, these chickens drink enough water to fill 29 Olympic-sized swimming pools. Modern tech makes it possible for a chicken metropolis to run with just about 100 workers. How is that even possible? You'll find out in our video. Chickens on large farms are kept either in cages or in free-range systems. If they're in cages, these are arranged in multi-level rows. Think of it like a chicken skyscraper. Each cage has everything a chicken needs: perches, feeders, drinkers, and even a sloped floor so eggs roll straight into a collection tray after being laid. On the other hand, free-range chickens have more space to roam. They get access to the outdoors, though it's usually not a lush green field, but specially designed enclosed areas. Even in these systems, everything is organized down to the smallest detail. This factory houses 1 million chickens in a caged system, covering over 25 acres. By comparison, the same number of birds in a free-range system would need more than 80 acres. Here's another fascinating fact. Modern farms maximize vertical space, especially in caged systems, to optimize efficiency. Most of the area is used for multi-level production facilities, housing cages, feed silos, sorting rooms, and staff areas. The chickens are fed specially formulated feed to ensure consistent egg production. This feed is a mix of grains, corn, soybeans, and added vitamins and minerals. And here's the kicker. Every single gram of feed is crucial because it determines the quality and quantity of the eggs. Feed is constantly tested for protein, calcium, and potential contaminants. Some farms even add herbal extracts to keep the chickens healthy without antibiotics. Large farms use automated feeding systems. Feed is distributed through pipes or conveyor belts, filling feeders in the cages or barns. Sensors monitor feed levels and automatically dispense more when needed. Chickens receive feed tailored to their stage of life. Young chicks get starter feed rich in protein and energy. Layers receive feed high in calcium, vitamins, and trace minerals for strong eggshells. Chickens nearing the end of their life cycle get finisher feed. The feed also includes additives to support digestive health, boost immunity, and improve egg quality. Chickens are fed 2 to 4 times daily, depending on the system. Some farms schedule feedings right before laying time to encourage consistent egg production. Layers consume about 5 ounces of feed daily. For 1 million chickens, that's nearly 120 tons of feed every day, or about 40,000 tons annually. Just look at the massive silos and transportation systems needed to manage that volume. In addition to feed, chickens are provided with clean drinking water. Nipple drinkers allow them to drink without spilling. 1 million chickens require over 2.5 million gallons of water annually, roughly the amount held by 29 Olympic-sized swimming pools. Feed is stored in silos, protected from moisture and mold. Its nutritional content is constantly analyzed to ensure quality. Modern farms even use software to track how much feed each group of chickens consumes. In some free-range systems, chickens are also allowed to forage for grass, insects, and grains, making their diet more natural. But even here, the primary feed is delivered automatically. Feeding systems are key to ensuring chickens lay eggs consistently and stay healthy throughout their production cycle. After laying, eggs roll into trays through special chutes. From there, they're transported on conveyor belts. Imagine an endless line of eggs floating towards sorting machines. These machines check for defects, discarding damaged or undersized eggs using special scanners that literally illuminate the eggs. It's futuristic. Before packaging, eggs are carefully washed in warm water with gentle disinfectants. This step ensures their safety. And no, it's not just a quick rinse. Eggs go through several warm water baths to remove dirt and microorganisms. Then they're dried and coated with a thin layer of food-grade wax for protection. At the sorting stage, each egg is weighed and categorized: large, medium, and so on. Depending on the category, eggs are packed into boxes. Simultaneously, shells are dried to prevent moisture that could lead to bacterial growth. Clean inspected eggs are placed in cartons or plastic trays by automated arms. Packaging includes details like packing date, grade, size, and producer certification. Storing such a daily volume of eggs requires refrigerators with over 70,000 cubic feet of capacity, about 40 large refrigerated trucks. After packaging, eggs are sent to storage facilities or logistics centers. Here, strict temperature controls between 32 and 40 degrees Fahrenheit keep them fresh. Eggs are transported in refrigerated trucks to prevent spoilage. At distribution centers, eggs are sorted based on supermarket orders and quickly delivered to stores or markets. Modern logistics systems reduce the time from farm to shelf to just a few days. Once on supermarket shelves, eggs are stored in refrigerators to maintain freshness. Consistent storage temperatures are crucial because sudden changes can cause condensation, increasing the risk of shell contamination. Consumers choose eggs based on size, price, brand, or labels like organic or free range. At home, eggs are stored in the fridge. Freshness is easy to check. If an egg sinks in water, it's good to use. Although large-scale farms are resource-intensive, many are adopting eco-friendly initiatives. These efforts not only reduce environmental impact, but also meet growing consumer demand for sustainable products. Some farms invest in solar panels on facility roofs or nearby solar fields, covering 30 to 50% of their energy needs. Chicken manure, a natural byproduct of any farm, is a valuable resource for agriculture. Chickens produce as much manure as the feed they consume, over 100 tons daily. Manure is collected, dried, and processed into organic fertilizer. Instead of creating waste, farms provide a product that restores soil fertility and reduces reliance on chemical fertilizers. Fertilizer production from chicken manure also lowers methane emissions compared to natural decomposition. Did you know a single chicken lays 1 egg a day? Of course, 1 million chickens don't equal 1 million eggs daily, since some aren't laying yet or have stopped laying. Still, production numbers are impressive, over 500,000 eggs each day. Stack those eggs, and you'd get a column over 29,500 feet tall, 23 times higher than the orbit of the International Space Station. Younger chickens lay eggs almost daily, while older ones do so less frequently. Balanced feed helps boost egg production. Factors like temperature, lighting, and stress-free conditions also play a big role. During winter, shorter daylight hours can slightly reduce laying rates. American eggs are rich in protein, vitamins D and B12, iron, and other nutrients. There are even eggs with higher omega-3 content, depending on the chicken's diet. You know what surprised me the most? The small workforce. Modern automation allows a 1 million chicken farm to operate with just 100 or so workers. Their tasks include equipment monitoring, veterinary care, and managing feed and egg logistics. A farm of this size can generate up to $50 million in annual revenue. This makes a significant contribution to the local economy, especially in logistics, feed production, and processing. These numbers show just how massive and coordinated the effort is to keep a steady flow of eggs heading to stores and ultimately to our kitchens. Did you know that over 2 billion cups of coffee are consumed every single day around the world? But how does your morning drink begin its journey from a tiny coffee cherry? Today, we're uncovering the secrets of instant coffee. From the first blossoms of coffee trees to the cutting-edge factories where beans transform into aromatic powder. Why is Arabica so delicate and Robusta so hardy? And how does production involve technologies that seem straight out of a sci-fi lab? Stick around. You'll be amazed by how many hands and minds it takes to create every jar of coffee. Before beans make it to the factory, they travel a long way, from small coffee plantations to industrial mills, and this journey starts long before the beans are ready to work. First, let's talk about Robusta and Arabica. They're like totally different personalities. They grow in different conditions, offer distinct flavors, and have unique growing demands. Fun fact: instant coffee usually uses Robusta, a bean known for its strength and high caffeine content. Arabica is also used, but less frequently, mainly in premium blends to add a smooth, sweeter flavor. Arabica is the premium bean. It's grown high up in the mountains, typically at elevations of 800 to 2,000 feet above sea level. It's picky. It loves mild climates, consistent rainfall, and temperatures between 60 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Robusta is less fussy. It thrives in lowlands, can handle heat, humidity, and even pests. Its ideal growing temperature can reach up to 86 degrees Fahrenheit. It's often cultivated in tough climates where Arabica wouldn't survive. Coffee plantations look like small forests. Coffee trees are grown from seeds, and get this, they take up to 3 years to bear their first fruit. Yep, 3 years before those cherries, which aren't even the coffee beans yet, but their outer shells appear. The trees are planted on specially prepared terraces, especially Arabica on slopes. The soil needs to be loose, rich in minerals, and moisture balanced. On many plantations, work is still done by hand, though some larger farms now use machines for planting. Coffee cherries take about 9 months to ripen after the trees bloom. And here's where the magic begins, timing the harvest just right. Handpicking is the best and most precise method. Workers pick only the ripe cherries, leaving the green ones to mature. It's labor-intensive, but guarantees quality, especially for Arabica. Robusta is often harvested with machines that comb cherries off the trees. It's faster and cheaper, but ripe and unripe cherries end up mixed. Hand-picking Arabica ensures better quality, but requires a massive workforce. Entire villages or even seasonal workers from nearby regions often help on large plantations. Harvested cherries aren't beans yet, they're just the shells. To extract the coffee beans, cherries undergo processing. There are 2 main methods: wet processing and dry processing. Wet processing is mostly used for Arabica. Cherries are soaked in water, where the pulp dissolves and the beans separate. It's pricier, but results in a clean, delicate flavor. Dry processing is more common for Robusta. Cherries are simply spread out to dry under the sun, and then the shells are removed. It's cheaper, but creates a bolder, more intense taste. After processing, the beans are sorted by size, weight, and quality. The best beans go into premium coffee products, while smaller or slightly damaged ones are used for more budget-friendly options or instant coffee. Here's something cool I learned. Robusta beans are usually round and tougher, while Arabica beans are oval and a bit softer to the touch. Once beans are ready, they're packed in classic jute bags. Why jute? It lets the beans breathe during transportation. On plantations, these bags are often loaded onto small trucks or even motorcycles to reach nearby ports or warehouses. Then, the beans are shipped in large containers that can carry hundreds of tons of coffee at a time. Beans often pass through several countries before reaching the factory. For example, coffee might be grown in Vietnam, one of the world's largest Robusta producers, processed in another country, and roasted or turned into instant coffee at a factory in Europe or the US. Before beans are transformed into instant coffee, they're checked for quality multiple times. On plantations, defective cherries are removed before processing. Before shipping, beans undergo another round of checks at warehouses and ports. This includes examining size, color, and aroma. At the factory, samples from each batch are tasted to ensure the flavor meets standards. Everything starts with coffee beans. At the factory I visited, roasted beans are delivered, and their smell, wow! It's that rich aroma you get when you walk into a coffee shop. Fun fact, roasting follows an incredibly precise schedule. Every second impacts the final flavor. So, where does roasting happen? At roasting facilities. Roasting is a whole universe of its own. It significantly affects coffee's taste and aroma, so it's taken seriously. There are several ways this can go down. Sometimes, especially for large Robusta volumes, beans are roasted in their country of origin, like Vietnam or Brazil. These countries have massive export-focused factories, which cut down on logistics costs. Big brands have their own roasting facilities in key regions. For example, in Europe or the US, there are giant factories specializing exclusively in roasting. Roasting beans separately isn't just a preference, it's logical. Green coffee beans are easier to transport long distances because they're less sensitive to storage conditions. Specialized facilities ensure a consistent roast level needed for specific products. Plus, depending on the end use, instant coffee or ground coffee, beans are roasted differently. Roasting coffee is a science. Beans are heated in rotating drums at temperatures around 400 degrees Fahrenheit. The roast time depends on the desired profile, lighter for softer flavors, darker for bold, intense notes. Instant coffee typically uses dark roasts. This enhances aroma and adds a bitterness that holds up even after processing. Roasted beans are cooled and packed to preserve their aroma. The factory receives this semi-finished product and focuses on its processes. It's a bit like a chef starting with a ready-made base to create a masterpiece. The first step after delivery is grinding the beans to a dust-like consistency. No, this isn't your regular grind for a French press or espresso. Industrial mills turn beans into particles finer than sand grains. Why so fine? I asked one of the staff. The answer was simple. The smaller the particles, the more efficiently the flavor and aroma are extracted in the next steps. Here's where the real chemistry begins. The ground powder goes into special extraction chambers, where it's brewed with hot water under pressure. Think of it as a giant coffee maker. This is where all the flavor and aroma you enjoy in your instant coffee are drawn out. What surprised me? The water temperature is controlled to the exact degree to avoid overbrewing. If it's too hot, the taste becomes bitter. Too cool, and the coffee loses its richness. The extract from these chambers undergoes multi-stage filtration. All unwanted particles are removed, leaving only a liquid concentrate. This concentrate looks like thick syrup and has such a strong aroma, it'll make your head spin. Next comes the most fascinating part. The liquid concentrate is turned into powder or granules using two main methods: spray drying or freeze drying. Spray drying involves blasting hot air to dry droplets of concentrate, leaving behind dry powder. It's fast and relatively cheap, but sometimes loses some aroma. Freeze drying is more complex. The concentrate is first frozen to extremely low temperatures, then sublimated, turning ice into vapor and leaving dry granules behind. It's pricier, but preserves maximum flavor. At the factory I visited, both methods were used depending on the coffee type. For premium lines, only freeze drying was used. The finished powder or granules are packed into jars, sachets, or sticks. It's all automated. Machines measure exact amounts, seal the packages, and add protective valves to preserve aroma. By the way, these valves are a real technological breakthrough. They let air out of the jar, but don't let it back in. You might wonder, how do they keep the aroma? The secret is that some of the coffee oils and aromatic compounds lost during extraction are collected separately and added back to the final product. It's like a little bonus that makes instant coffee so familiar and fragrant. Is instant coffee real coffee? You know, I was a bit skeptical myself until I saw the whole process. It really is 100% coffee, just with a touch of engineering magic. Actually, scratch that, it's more like technical mastery. The difference between instant coffee and freshly brewed coffee is like the difference between homemade pizza and takeout pizza. They're both great, but in different ways. Instant coffee is quicker, more convenient, and still incredibly flavorful when done right. After the tour, I was blown away by how intricate and well thought out the process is. And you know what amazed me the most? The sheer number of people involved, from engineers monitoring the equipment to tasters checking every batch. Yes, tasters. Turns out it's a real profession. Imagine having a job where you drink coffee and evaluate its taste. Isn't that the dream? Instant coffee isn't just powder in a jar. It's a monumental effort, cutting-edge technology, and a love for a drink that brings us comfort, even on the busiest days. So, next time you make yourself a cup, remember the many hands that work to deliver that aroma to you. There are more than 5 trillion pieces of plastic floating in our oceans, and this number keeps growing every single day. Turning trash into something useful isn't just a creative idea, it's an absolute necessity. This approach not only reduces harm to nature, but also proves that even the worst garbage can have a second life. Imagine this, that waste could be turned into something as stylish as sneakers. Surprised? Well, let's dive into this fascinating journey together. First, you need to find the trash. Specialized organizations rely on advanced collection systems to do this. Hunting for ocean trash is an impressive and highly technical process. using cutting-edge tools designed to capture plastic. One of the most renowned organizations tackling this issue is the Ocean Cleanup. They deploy massive floating barriers that are strategically placed in ocean currents, where plastic waste tends to accumulate in large garbage patches, zones of concentrated trash. Here's how these traps work. Large floating structures equipped with nets or barrier walls move through the water, capturing plastic that drifts into their range. These systems are designed to catch plastic debris floating on the surface, as well as some submerged deeper in the water. Imagine enormous nets gliding smoothly through the ocean, sweeping up all kinds of waste in their path. Once the trap is full, it's hauled to a specialized vessel, where the collected plastic is unloaded. This is done using massive mechanical cranes or conveyor belt systems. The unloaded waste is then sorted and cleaned to prepare it for recycling. These technologies don't just clean up our oceans, they create opportunities to repurpose plastic into new products like textiles, sneakers, and even construction materials. The sight of machines pulling massive piles of trash from the water is both inspiring and a little shocking. Plastic of all shapes and sizes, bottles, bags, broken fragments, and even old toys is brought ashore for sorting. It's a stark reminder of the scale of the problem, but also a glimpse of the incredible potential for change. Once the trash is unloaded onto the ship, it's transported to the nearest port. On land, specialized facilities equipped with conveyor belts and robotic sorting systems take over the next stage of processing. Here, the waste is sorted, cleaned, and prepared for recycling. The process moves at an incredible pace. Robotic arms sort the plastic by type, like assembling a massive jigsaw puzzle. This isn't just random sorting. Advanced technology can detect even the tiniest pieces of plastic. After sorting, the trash gets washed. Much of it is covered in algae or other organic matter, so cleaning is a messy but absolutely crucial step. Sorting is followed by a multi-step washing process. First, the waste is rinsed or scrubbed to remove large contaminants like sand or dirt. Mechanical systems, such as conveyor belts, move the trash through brushes or nets that scrape off big debris. Next, the smaller impurities like oil residues or fine dirt are removed. This can be done in several ways. For instance, as the trash moves along a conveyor belt, high-pressure sprayers rinse it with water. The jets dislodge grime, organic residues, and oil stains. Another method involves submerging the waste in water tanks. These tanks often feature circulating currents, which enhance the cleaning process by gently agitating the plastic and rinsing away remaining dirt. To tackle oil contamination, the plastic is treated with specialized cleaning solutions or chemicals that break down petroleum products and other stubborn pollutants. After these stages, the plastic is finally ready for recycling or disposal. The water used in the cleaning process typically undergoes filtration, so it can be reused or sent for purification to reduce environmental impact. This precise and efficient system ensures the waste is clean and ready for the next step, with adjustments made depending on the material type and its level of contamination. The process of shredding and melting cleaned ocean plastic is truly mesmerizing, a real choreography of technology where each step amazes with its scale and precision. Enormous machines, resembling giant blenders, slice, grind, and crush the plastic into tiny granules. These powerful devices, equipped with massive blades and cutting tools, work at incredible speeds, creating an artificial snow of microscopic plastic particles. As mentioned earlier, the scale of this operation is astonishing. These machines can shred over 1,000 pounds of plastic per hour. The shredded material is ground into granules, which are then sent for melting at temperatures around 500 degrees Fahrenheit. For context, this is the point at which most types of plastic begin to melt and become pliable for reshaping. The roar of massive grinding discs and the compressed sounds of mechanical force fill the air as the plastic is transformed into tiny granules that shoot through the air. Different types of plastic are blended and shredded into a uniform mass. This isn't just waste, it's raw material, ready to be turned into something new. While the granules vary in size, each one is precisely prepared for the next step, melting. These shredded particles are then sent into industrial furnaces for a dramatic transformation. The melting process is comparable to dough that starts off hard and crumbly, but becomes soft and elastic under heat. Gigantic furnaces, heated to extreme temperatures, melt the plastic into a thick, almost liquid state. This molten plastic flows through pipes, gleaming under factory lights like a fiery river coursing through the corridors. In that moment, everything around feels almost magically alive. The melting technology is much like what happens when chocolate or wax is melted into a liquid form. Plastic doesn't just soften, it becomes flexible and easy to shape. At this stage, it's ready to be molded into new items. This semi-liquid material, balanced between solid and fluid states, represents the start of something new, a material reborn to re-enter the cycle of life. As the molten plastic cools, it hardens and takes shape, transforming into products that become part of our everyday lives. This is one of the most captivating stages of recycling, where simple trash turns into something useful, once again finding its place in the world around us. Adidas, Parley for the Oceans, and other brands are already turning ocean plastic into stylish products. For example, making sneakers out of this plastic looks like something straight out of a futuristic lab. Liquid plastic is poured into molds, where it hardens to form the perfect sole. The upper part of the shoe is woven from recycled plastic threads, a kind of textile wizardry that transforms trash into a fashionable accessory. Here's a fun fact. Producing just one pair of sneakers can use up to 11 plastic bottles. These sneakers are not only stylish but also eco-friendly, utilizing materials that might have ended up polluting our oceans. On a large scale, recycling plastic helps reduce dependence on virgin resources. For instance, recycling 1 ton of plastic cuts carbon dioxide emissions by as much as 1.5 tons. One of the biggest names in sportswear even created jerseys for soccer teams, including Real Madrid, made from plastic retrieved from the ocean. Now, players are quite literally wearing the ocean during their matches. What about construction materials? This is another equally fascinating avenue. Plastic granules are mixed with sand or other materials to create durable panels for construction. Ever considered that your home could be partly built from recycled trash? This is becoming a reality, not only reducing the amount of plastic in our oceans, but also cutting carbon emissions in the construction industry. In New Zealand, plastic bottles are being turned into synthetic sand for building roads. This sand is significantly cheaper and more eco-friendly than traditional options. Here's a staggering statistic. Every minute, more than 2,000 plastic bottles enter our oceans and seas. Only about 9% of all plastic waste in the environment is properly recycled. The rest ends up in landfills or the ocean, leaving us with serious concerns about the planet's future. But there's good news. Recycling ocean plastic isn't just about helping nature, it's also a booming business. For example, one company specializing in ocean plastic recycling processes over 22 million pounds of plastic each year, transforming it into sportswear and accessories. In the fashion industry alone, more than 500 million plastic bottles are reused annually to create new products. Many companies are repurposing old fishing nets, which pollute the oceans, into sneaker soles. These fish catchers are now turning into eye catchers when you slip on these stylish kicks. Some companies even craft trendy chairs from ocean plastic, including discarded fishing nets. The irony? These nets used to catch fish, and now they sit in restaurants. There are over 1,200 crocodile farms worldwide. When people hear about crocodile farms, some imagine wild chaos, with hundreds of reptiles crawling over each other. But that's far from reality. It's way more fascinating and technologically advanced. In China, this industry has evolved into a highly organized business that merges science, nature, and human ingenuity. Let's take a closer look at this extraordinary world. China isn't just a country with ancient culinary traditions. It's also a leader in crocodile farming. With over 500 farms raising more than 2 million crocodiles annually, this industry began booming back in the 1980s when demand for crocodile skin and meat skyrocketed. Over the decades, China has become the top producer, even outpacing Thailand. Here's an impressive stat. In Anhui province alone, the heart of the crocodile farming business, up to 2 million crocodiles are raised every year. And here's the surprising part. Every farm adheres to strict standards of sustainability and ethics. Chinese crocodile farms aren't just enclosures filled with predators. They're scientifically designed complexes featuring labs, climate control systems, and even dedicated incubators. A single adult crocodile can fetch up to $2,000 just for its skin. Add the meat, and the profit can exceed $4,000 per crocodile. The harvest starts with collecting eggs. In the wild, females lay them in sandy nests and leave them unguarded. But on farms, it's a completely different story. Workers collect the eggs immediately after they're laid and transfer them to incubators. The temperature here is regulated down to a degree, 89 degrees Fahrenheit for males and slightly lower for females. Fascinating, right? After 70 to 80 days, the first hatchlings emerge. They're placed in specialized nurseries, where they can grow in comfort under close supervision. How do farm workers know which eggs will hatch males and which will hatch females, you ask? Maybe they scan them like chicken eggs? Or use X-rays? Nope. While farmers might candle eggs early on to check if they're fertilized, similar to what's done with chicken eggs, determining gender this way is impossible. It all boils down to incubator temperature control. Imagine this. On crocodile farms, temperature decides everything, even gender. The sex of a crocodile depends entirely on the egg's incubation temperature. No X-rays or high-tech gadgets needed. If the egg is kept below 86 degrees Fahrenheit, it's likely to hatch a female. At higher temperatures, the odds shift to males. At mid-range temperatures, you get a mix of both. This isn't just a quirk of nature. It's a survival strategy, allowing reptiles to adjust their population balance depending on environmental conditions. In this way, crocodile farmers essentially play God, deciding who gets to hatch. Cool, right? On farms, incubator temperatures are adjusted based on specific needs. If more females are required, for skin or breeding purposes, the temperature is set lower. If males are more valuable, they tend to grow larger and yield more meat. The temperature is raised. Modern farms use computerized monitoring systems, with climate control setups ensuring the perfect conditions. Humidity is also critical and is constantly monitored. Eggs are rotated regularly to prevent embryos from sticking to the shells, ensuring even development. Even with all these precautions, some eggs misbehave and hatch the opposite gender than expected. Nature has its quirks. But overall, this method is highly effective. Comfort is the key word on these farms. Crocodiles are housed in spacious enclosures with water and dry areas. Temperature and humidity are constantly monitored. Imagine each crocodile has its own daily schedule: feeding time, swimming, and basking in the sun. Speaking of feeding, their diet is a science in itself. Crocodiles aren't the type to need 3 square meals a day or smoothies for breakfast. Their feeding and lifestyle are optimized for their natural habits. On farms, feeding becomes an exact science with precise calculations. Crocodiles are fed protein-rich mixes containing fish, chicken, and even vegetables. Everything to ensure rapid growth and good health. In the wild, crocodiles are apex predators, but their farm diet is simpler and cheaper, designed to maximize growth, health, and skin quality. Fish is the most affordable and widely available option, often using small or substandard fish. Poultry industry leftovers are another staple since crocodiles love chicken. Other meats are given in smaller quantities, mainly as a treat for larger individuals. They're also supplemented with protein-rich pellets containing vitamins and minerals. Feeding is organized to be safe and efficient for workers. Crocodiles aren't exactly friendly creatures, so minimizing contact is essential. Workers toss food into their enclosures, either on land or into the water. Modern farms often use automated feeding devices. Younger crocodiles are fed more frequently, every few days, while adults eat about once a week or even less. Interestingly, overeating is a problem for crocodiles too. Overfeeding can make them lethargic and less active, which negatively affects their skin and health. And damaged skin is a no-go. It takes the hide of one young crocodile, about 5 feet long, to make a single crocodile leather bag. So what do crocodiles do most of the time? If you think they're busy being productive, sorry, but no. They spend most of their day just lying around. They sleep and rest for 16 to 20 hours a day, basking in the sun. In the wild, this helps regulate their body temperature. Farms recreate conditions that mimic their natural environment. Crocodiles aren't very active unless they're hungry or threatened. Most of the time, they either float still in the water or shift positions occasionally. In large enclosures, artificial ponds and resting areas let them choose their comfort zones. Surprisingly, they often lie together, like giant sleepy cats, albeit very toothy ones. No balls or toys for these reptiles, as you might guess. Their main entertainment is waiting for food. Some farmers even have a tradition of feeding them from boats to stir them up and make them work a bit for their meal. Crocodiles are all about minimalism. Eat, sleep, repeat. Once, on a farm in Anhui, the crocodiles blocked an exit door for the staff by all lying near it simultaneously. The situation was resolved only by luring them away with fresh fish. One of the world's largest farms, located in Guangzhou, raises about 100,000 crocodiles at any given time. Now, the most interesting part. How are crocodiles turned into valuable products? All farm operations are conducted humanely, under strict veterinary supervision. The reptiles are first sedated to avoid stress. Then, the process follows well-established standards designed to minimize waste. From a single crocodile, up to 75 pounds of high-quality meat can be harvested. It's commonly used in soups and steaks. Their skin, however, is the true treasure in the fashion industry. Crocodile meat is considered a delicacy, high in protein, low in fat, and perfect for a healthy diet. And crocodile leather has always been a symbol of luxury. Depending on the species, it takes 2 to 4 years for a crocodile to grow large enough for its meat and skin to be sold. Interestingly, Chinese farmers waste nothing. Even the teeth and bones are used to create souvenirs or traditional medicines. 90% of crocodile leather sold in Europe comes from China. The highest demand for crocodile skin is in Europe, the United States, and Japan, where leather goods can sell for tens of thousands of dollars. While crocodile farming is controversial, China has made significant efforts to ensure ethical practices. Many farms collaborate with international organizations to maintain transparency and conduct research to protect wild populations. Farm conditions are strictly regulated, as low water temperatures can slow crocodile growth, while excessively high temperatures can be fatal. Opening a mid-sized farm with 1,000 crocodiles requires an investment of at least $500,000. As you can see, crocodile farms in China aren't just about breeding reptiles. They're an entire ecosystem blending modern technology, culture, and business. Who would have thought predators could be part of such a delicate process? Chupa Chups isn't just a lollipop, it's a global legend. Every day, the factory produces over 12 million lollipops, which are exported to 150 countries. And it all began in 1958 with a simple idea: adding a stick. From meticulously testing ingredients to the iconic logo designed by Salvador Dali, Chupa Chups knows how to make an impression. Ready to see how the taste of childhood is created? Let's dive in. The Chupa Chups company was founded in 1958 by Spanish entrepreneur Enrique Bernat. He introduced the concept of a lollipop on a stick, making it easier for kids to enjoy candy without getting their hands sticky. Enrique came from a family of confectioners. Before creating Chupa Chups, he worked for a company that produced traditional candies. At some point, he realized that regular candies posed a challenge for children. They often got their hands dirty or spent too much time unwrapping and handling the candy. His idea was to create a treat that could be enjoyed without touching it directly. The solution came quickly: attach a wooden stick to the candy. This innovation made the process of eating candy both simple and hygienic. Originally, the lollipop on a stick was called gol, from the Spanish word for goal, hinting at the idea that the lollipop resembled a ball, and the mouth was like a goalpost. It wasn't until the 1960s that the brand adopted its modern name. The word chupa comes from the Spanish verb chupar, meaning to lick, highlighting how the product is consumed. The simple slogan, "Chupa un chups," which translates to "lick a chups," was straightforward yet catchy, in my opinion. The main ingredients of a Chupa Chups lollipop include sugar, glucose syrup, acids, citric or malic, flavorings, and natural or synthetic colorings. Quality control starts with the raw materials. The company only works with suppliers who hold certifications that meet international standards. Before establishing a partnership, they inspect the production, transportation, and storage processes. This involves factory and warehouse inspections. Inspectors evaluate the appearance, color, smell, and texture of the ingredients. For instance, they check for lumps in the sugar, any off odors in the syrups, and whether the colorants meet specified standards. I find this level of meticulous attention to detail truly impressive. Next come the physical and chemical tests, such as measuring the moisture content of the sugar, checking the acidity of citric or malic acid, and analyzing the glucose concentration in syrups. Naturally, microbiological testing is also conducted. This involves checking for harmful microorganisms, such as bacteria, mold, and yeast, that could compromise product safety. Additionally, the ingredients are tested for the presence of heavy metals, like lead and mercury, pesticide residues, or other harmful substances. Once the ingredients pass inspection, they are stored in specialized warehouses. Storage conditions are strictly controlled. Temperature and humidity levels are tailored to the specific requirements of each type of raw material. Regular monitoring ensures that the ingredients remain in optimal condition, preventing spoilage before they are used in production. The next step involves transforming solid sugar crystals and viscous syrup into a uniform, pliable mass from which the lollipops will be shaped. This requires reducing the water content in the mixture and blending the main ingredients, sugar, glucose syrup, and water, in precise proportions to achieve the desired texture and flavor. The process is carried out in specialized equipment, vacuum kettles, or melting tanks. These machines have double walls for even heating and are equipped with stirrers to prevent the mixture from burning. Temperature and humidity sensors inside the equipment ensure accurate heating, while automatic dispensers precisely measure and mix the ingredients. In a kettle that stands about twice the height of an average person, sugar and water are combined in a ratio of approximately 3:1. Once the sugar dissolves, glucose syrup is added to achieve the optimal texture. The mixture is then heated to around 230 to 250 degrees Fahrenheit. At this temperature, the sugar dissolves fully and the water begins to evaporate. When the mixture reaches approximately 284 degrees Fahrenheit, the process of inversion begins. Some of the sucrose breaks down into glucose and fructose due to the high temperature and the addition of acid. The temperature is then gradually increased to 300 degrees to evaporate most of the remaining water. The consistency thickens and the sugar dissolves completely. The mass is stretched using specialized machines to enhance its transparency and give it a glossy finish. In some cases, a small amount of air is incorporated into the mixture, creating a softer texture and ensuring even color distribution. I was absolutely mesmerized watching the caramel stretching process. As a kid, I would have gladly traded all my toys for a week just to witness that spectacle. Once the main batch of sugar and syrup is ready, flavorings like strawberry, orange, or others are added, along with natural colorings derived from plants and fruits or artificial ones. Citric acid or malic acid is also mixed in to create a tangy taste. If the candy is designed with layers or a mosaic pattern, different colored and flavored batches are combined during the stretching process. For example, the rainbow Chupa Chups are made using a layering technique. It's an incredible process. I'd go back to the factory just to watch it all over again. The threads of caramel are semi-transparent, stretching into beautiful, colorful bundles. I've mentioned this before, but see it for yourself, and you'll understand my excitement. The process of forming lollipops at the Chupa Chups factory is highly advanced and almost entirely automated. Human operators are responsible for monitoring and adjusting the equipment, as well as performing quality checks. But overall, machines handle the heavy lifting. A large sheet of sugar mass is fed into a machine for portioning. There, it is either cut or pinched into small pieces. Each piece is precisely measured to match the exact weight of a single lollipop, typically around 5 to 10 grams. These portions then pass through a mold press, which gives the lollipops their desired shape, whether round, oval, or something else. The molds are cooled to help the candy harden quickly. One of the most crucial steps in the production process is inserting the stick, a key element that made the brand so iconic. This step is also fully automated, with machines ensuring both accuracy and efficiency. Plastic or wooden sticks are automatically fed onto a conveyor, where they are cleaned and inspected for quality. Each stick must be straight, sturdy, and free of defects. The candy mass is then either molded directly around the stick, or the stick is inserted into the center of the still malleable mass. A machine inserts the stick with precise calculations of angle and depth to ensure it is securely fixed in place. Once inserted, the lollipop cools quickly in its mold, creating a strong bond between the stick and the candy. The quality control during this stage includes a visual inspection of shape and size. Machines equipped with artificial intelligence scan the lollipops for defects such as incorrect size, uneven color, or missing sticks. Even the stick's attachment strength is tested. Specialized testers check whether the stick is firmly secured. Each lollipop is also automatically weighed. If the weight falls outside the acceptable range, the lollipop is rejected. After being shaped, the lollipops are transported via conveyor to cooling chambers or cooling conveyors. The temperature is lowered gradually to prevent the candy mass from cracking. Only after this process do the lollipops achieve their final hardness and become ready for packaging. During the final quality check, a specialized tasting panel evaluates whether the lollipops meet expectations. They assess if the flavor is as intended, whether the flavorings are evenly distributed, if the color matches the standard samples, and even check the product's transparency. This part of the tour is usually my favorite, but this time, watching the caramel stretching process took the top spot. Yes, I'd say it 3 more times if I could. I don't know about you, but if someone had told me as a kid that such a job existed, I would have been over the moon. Just imagine, every day you get to taste test your favorite candy. What could possibly be better? Of course, it's not as easy as it sounds. It requires specialized training and a long journey to land that specific role. But if I'd known about it as a child, nothing would have stopped me. Every batch of product comes with its own unique identification number, which allows the origin of each ingredient to be traced. If any issues are discovered during testing or reported by consumers, a thorough investigation is conducted to identify the source, such as a specific raw material supplier. Each Chupa Chups lollipop is wrapped in a special wrapper, a fully automated process to prevent any contact with human hands. Once wrapped, the lollipops are sorted and packed into larger boxes or tubes for transportation to stores. The finished products are then sent to warehouses, where they are distributed to retailers and distributors. Fun fact: the iconic Chupa Chups logo was designed by the famous artist Salvador Dali. He created the bright design featuring yellow and red floral shapes resembling a daisy, and he cleverly placed the logo on the top of the wrapper to ensure it was always visible. This logo has become legendary and remains a key element of the brand to this day.